Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Greetings to all those joining us for this podcast we are calling Mothers in the Movement Part 1. My name is Debra Camarillo, the proud daughter of Esteban Leos Camarillo and Anita Figueroa. This podcast is being hosted by the National Comadres Network as we continue to promote healing for the next generations. On this podcast, we are blessed to have a panel of 5 mothers. Rahsmia joining us from Long Island, New York. Angell joining us from Denver, Colorado. Luissana joining us from San Antonio, Texas. Alma joining us from Salinas, California. And Maestra Laura Castro from Los Baños, California, with Rosa González as the moderator. These are mothers whose strength have been developed through the journey they have taken. I do not believe in coincidences, so the mere fact that you are joining us on this podcast means that there are some words that will be shared today that you need to hear. They may be words of wisdom that will help you understand a little bit better something that is going on with you, or just words that will help you balance all that motherhood brings in. The great thing is that this is a lifelong journey with the ability to start over again tomorrow, where we can embrace those things that we want to take forward and the opportunity to let go of those things that do not serve us any longer, and change things and make them a little bit better than they were before. So again, thank you very much for joining us as we listen to Part 1, Mothers in the Movement.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon, and I'm coming to you from the Central Valley in California. And I'm pretty excited today. This is going to be a beautiful evening. We're spread across the nation here from the West Coast to the East Coast, the mid-central range also. And it's just very exciting to be here connecting hearts with gente across the United States, right? And we're here with our brothers, our sisters, and the purpose of this is to just be able to share with you and for you to hear the amazing things and life journeys that have happened in our Mothers in the Movement. And that's the name of the webinar today, Mothers in the Movement. And so this is a historical event, and you hear me always say that, and I really mean that. It's historical because we've got an amazing panel. It's an intergenerational panel that we'll be sharing with you today. And so you're going to hear words, you're going to hear lessons, you're going to hear experiences that have happened in the lives of these wonderful women. And let me tell you, these aren't just any women. These are women that are not only walking the talk, but they practice what they preach. And that's the importance of having this panel today, because these women are committed to live the lives that they live. And so I'm just so grateful and thankful that you're spending your evening with us. You chose to be with us, and for us, that's an honor. So thank you for honoring us with your presence today on this webinar. And with that, I'm going to pass it over with some words to the Creator, to Maestra Susanna Armijo.
Gracias, Maestra. Welcome, mujeres, beautiful comadres, maestras. So honored, so grateful to see you all here, to come together finally. We've been praying about this for a long time. It's been a long year for all of us, and we just really sent out a lot of prayers to Creator and ancestors to please guide us, to help us, to be able to continue staying connected to all of you in the communities and all those that need support, that are struggling. And although it's something we'd much rather do in person so that we can hug you all and give you all that love. that we've been missing from your hearts as well. We're still very blessed and thankful to Creator that we're able to connect this way, in spite of all the challenges. So gracias a Dios that we've been able to endure a long, hard journey. And it reminds us of mothers in the movement, all their journey and their struggles and their sacrifices and everything that they've had to go through to persevere, to keep going forward, to fight for our rights and for our well-being and for the future generations to come. So I want to call all those spirits here today. Think of who those mujeres are for you. Who are those mujeres? The mothers, the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers, the godmothers, all the ninas, the tias. For me, it was my best friend's mother when my mother wasn't able to be there for me. But gracias a Dios, Creator is so generous and so compassionate that maybe my mother couldn't be there for me in the way that she would have liked to because of her own personal illness. But there were many other women that stepped up and helped to support. And I'm so grateful right now for that, for all those mujeres in my life. Just ask you to call on those ancestors, call on those grandmothers, call on those special mujeres that have inspired you and supported you and have helped you to guide you for their consejos, for everything that they've done to make you who you are today. We're so grateful. Let's call all those spirits in, starting with the spirit of our Creator, Mother, Father, Creator, Tata Sol, Tonantzin, our giving Mother Earth, the ancestors, all of our beautiful guardian angels, our deceased loved ones, and all the mujeres in the movement throughout the years. Ask you to come and join us. Bring your spirit, bring your wisdom, bring your love. Let us feel you today here in this space. Ask you to protect the space, Creator, as we come together. And help us to be present. There's so many struggles that we still face and so many challenges that we are still going through each and every day. And it took us a lot to just be here today. So we want to ask you to please help us be present for this time together. This time will never come again. So let it be quality time. Let it be time to continue learning, to feel supported, to feel loved. As we go forward. Thank you for that sun rising this morning. Donat for our giving and for giving Mother Earth. Donantzin. To the wind that we breathe, a hekat, and to the water we drink. We thank you for those four sacred colors of the human race, the black, the white, the red, the yellow, as well as those four sacred elements that we need to maintain our existence, that we need each and every day. We thank you for these elements, and we just ask forgiveness for the abuse that we have created through the years of taking those elements for granted. But we need these elements in order to maintain our existence and for the future generations to come. So we ask forgiveness, and we ask that we be more aware and try to do our part, each and every one of us. We thank all those women that you've blessed us with. We thank our own mothers who gave us life and brought us into this world. Creator, thank you so much for all those mamas that sacrificed for us to be here. All those mothers that fought for us and continue to fight for us on a daily basis, that give up even their own well-being for the betterment of the community, for the families, for their children. We thank them all for their compassion, the continued passion, for giving us their strength, their support, all that encouragement when we doubted ourselves. We thank you for them having the confidence that they had in us when we didn't have it for ourselves. We thank them all for that delicious comida that fed our souls in every cell of our body. The frijolitos, the tamales, the caldos, the tortillas, los chile rellenos, los salsas, the choco flan, the pan dulces, the arroz con leches, all those things that made us happy and made a family when we come together and share a meal. We thank you for that, Creator. So as we go on today, we ask you to bless us, bless all the panelists that are here, and let that wisdom from their ancestors and from their mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers come through today. Let us hear all those voices through them, and as we honor each and every one of them and bless them for the work that they do in the communities to help so many people to be the hands of your Creator here on the earth. Bless them, bless their families as they continue doing the work, and bless us all that are here present today. May we all continue to heal, continue to be inspired, and continue to feel loved, appreciated, and inspired to go forward. Vamos a seguir adelante. Primero Dios, adelante. Oh, Mateo, Él es Dios.
Oh, Mateo.
Oh, Mateo. Thank you, Maestra. That always puts me in a great, great heart and headspace. And speaking of heart and headspace, who seems to fusion it so seamlessly, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's event is Rosa González. She is the creator and founder of Facilitating Power. So please give her a warm welcome. Thank you. Palabra.
Thank you so much, Christian, and thank you for all the organizers of today's event, all the work that goes on behind the scenes to bring us all together. Thank you, Maestra, for that prayer. I don't know how you transmit so much powerful energía through Zoom, but I'm feeling it right here in my heart. And may we continue to exchange good energy with each other while we're here. And thank you so much to my comadre, Laura Tinajero, for thinking of me for this, for having the insight of, having somebody who was the child of organizers to facilitate a panel of moms in the movement. I appreciate you so much, and I'm grateful to be able to moderate this incredible panel. I'm so excited to hear from the incredible mujeres that are here to share a little bit of their story, a little bit of themselves with us, so that we can, be learning together as we continue forward on this journey. When I was thinking about this panel, I was thinking about the times when I interviewed my abuelita. And I was also thinking about a time when I interviewed 13 moms from Guatemala, in Guatemala. I was studying women's work. And I was thinking about that because every single one, when I would frame the question, they would say, no, pues yo no sé nada. No, I don't know anything. And then they would proceed to just drop serious knowledge. And, I think, that's a sign of humility, of course, and the more we learn on the journey of life, the more we realize we don't know, the more we know, the more we realize we don't know. And so the wise ones always are humble like that. And also the formality of an interview, they feel their knowledge is informal, and here we're in the formality of an interview. But also I think it's, speaks to the ways in which women have been expected to kind of keep our knowledge on the back shelf. But, we are now, aquí estamos en el sexto sol. We're in times where we really need to give voice and create wider platforms for the sacred feminine, for the wisdom of moms, the wisdom of our hermanas, our tías, our abuelitas. And so everyone that we're going to hear from today gives of themselves to give life, and to raise up this next generation. And everyone that we're going to hear from today are also makers of movimiento. They are in service to their communities and in ways that are about transformation, about change, about shifting power. And for me, growing up in the 1970s and 80s with organizer parents coming out of the Chicano movement, there's a few things that stand out to me. One is just like how many meetings and marches, spending your childhood at meetings and marches and cultural events. And, for some kids, especially in that generation, 70s, 80s, you could have some resentment, towards that, because it's like you kind of give up your childhood, or you could feel neglected at times. But the thing that we get in exchange, is so much connection and consciousness. And, I felt like I got this whole second education outside of school. And it was that second education that allowed me to be able to survive, the formal schooling that I was getting. It gave me a frame for understanding the injustices that I was witnessing, the injustices I was experiencing. And helped me to move forward. My parents always made me feel proud of who I was. They made sure that we knew our history, that we honored our ancestors, and that we saw our cultura as a strength. And so, just wanted to share a few reflections on my experience. I know that as we've moved forward and we've evolved sort of how we make change, parenting in the realm of movimiento has also evolved and shifted as well. So really excited to hear. I think we'll spotlight our whole panel now so that you can see some of the incredible mujeres that we're going to hear from. And we'll start with introductions. And so in a minute, I'm going to pass the palabra to Maestra Laura Castro to introduce herself briefly, sharing a little bit about who she is and the inspiration behind the work that she does. Then I'll respond with just a one rapid fire question. She'll respond to that, and then she'll pass the palabra to the next person. So here we go, spotlighting our panel. And I'll pass the palabra now to Maestra Laura Castro.
My name is Laura Castro, and I'm a grandmother, a great-grandmother, mother of 6, and a grandmother of 15, and a great-grandmother of 3. And the inspiration for the work that I do, which isn't work for me, it's my life, is future generations, all the future generations of children out there that we need to help them to have a better future. And by helping heal this generation, we can secure a better generation for the future, ¿verdad? And so I'm a little selfish when it comes to that, because I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren to have a better future in this world where there's peace and harmony, ¿verdad? And so that's my inspiration. Gracias.
Maestra, what do you think of when you hear the word medicina?
Healing. I think of healing. I think of copal. I think of us coming together as one.
Beautiful. Maybe we can pass the palabra to
Alma.
Good afternoon, Alma Cervantes, here in Salinas. First and foremost, I'm a mother of a 3.5-year-old, daughter of Elia Esparza Velasquez. The first time that I say her name, but I think it's a perfect space. And I work for Building Healthy Communities in Salinas, organizing parents and supporting youth and fighting the system to end the school-to-prison pipeline. What inspired me every day, obviously, is my daughter, her energy. But I have to align with Maestra Laura, that is all those children that because of their skin color, because of their gender, they already have a determined path. And I literally want to fight that nothing determines the future of our child because of those identities that they carry.
And Alma, what do you think of when you hear the word cultura?
Richness, pride, craziness is it's the food that feed us every day. And also it's our, I would say it's what keeps us going in this life. I'll pass it to Angel.
Gracias, Alma. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone, each and every one of you out there. My name is Angell Maria Juanita Pérez. I'm the daughter of Rosina Loretta Montoya, the granddaughter of Ninfa Maria Larrañaga, and the great-granddaughter of Gabriela Maria Larrañaga. And I am the executive director of Colorado Circles for Change in Denver, Colorado. I'm also the mother of Drew, Pina, Lala, and Bella, who are the children that I physically birthed. But I'm a hood mama, and I have hundreds of kids out there in my community who I love, just like my blood children. And I'll say I do this work. Well, let me tell you a little bit about CCFC really quickly. So we work to end the school-to-prison pipeline and, quite frankly, to abolish the juvenile justice system. We know that system causes harm to our communities. that system is a colonized white supremacist system. It is not our ways. And so we work to center the healing and liberation of our young people by abolishing these systems and also connecting them to their ancestral teachings and their ancestral medicine and the power that they carry within themselves. And I do this work because I know personally the harm caused by incarceration to our communities. Again, locking up our young people is a white supremacist way. It is not our way. And we need to love our young people and support their healing. And I started this work really because of my son. My oldest son is why I made a commitment to fight for a better life for myself and for him. I wanted to break cycles of trauma and generational curses for my legacy, my blood legacy, but also for future generations of my people. Palabra.
Angel, what do you think of when you hear the word chingona?
All of you amazing, badass chingonas on this call, my comadres, my maestras, my hood mamas, my hood aunties. It is us, and we stand proud in that. And together, we're a hell of a force. So I would just say all of our people, all our beautiful brown, black warrior women out there in our communities. Ometeo.
And let's pass the palabra to Rahsmia.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to say that the energy on this workshop already is amazing. It's so powerful to, as I saw people introducing themselves, to realize, that really most of us are strangers, have never met, don't know the first thing about each other, are spanned across the country, but there's so much energy and warmth, and that is a testament to, the power that we all bring to the spaces, and we must recognize that always, that we are so powerful and we bring such amazing power and energy to spaces. So my name is Rahsmia Zatar. I am the executive director of an organization called Strong Youth. I'm currently transmitting from Houston, Texas. So trying to give this Texas thing a try, but my journey has always really been on the East Coast and a little place called Long Island, New York, which is very different from New York City. And actually leads me into why I do the work that I do. So Long Island is, like so many other parts of the country, a very brutally oppressive and violent place. And when I say violent, I mean, yes, physically violent, but emotionally and mentally traumatizing to nuestra gente. And I was born and raised on Long Island. And I was very blessed to have a mother that I think from the moment I stepped out the womb was so integral, so important, so critical in giving us and by us I mean her children, and reinforcing in us the message that the outside messages wasn't reflective of us, and being able to remind us constantly of how beautiful we were and how strong we were, and that we should never let the outside environment define what our value and our journey was going to look like. So, I run this organization, but I really reluctantly call it an organization because we really are a familia, and we join forces with the rest of our familia in the community, and we walk together to, as Angel mentioned, to really resist and fight back and assist our communities in finding and recognizing their inner strength and beauty, and then walking with them to be able to resist everything that's coming at us. So I am so blessed to have found this familia to be a part of, to sometimes lead, but I'm really a part of it, and I'm just working with the rest of the family, to do what we can and push our communities forward and give them the spotlight that they deserve, and really remind them that they are beautiful.
Rahsmia, what do you think of when you hear the word fuerza?
I think of all the amazing people that I've met along the way that have taught me,
that have kept me strong. Most of them being women. My organization, for the most part, we're a bunch of women, and just the resiliency, just the beauty, just the just everything that these women are constantly showing me that we have the ability to overcome. When I hear fuerza, I want to say it's all these women that I'm surrounded with and have met along the way, that have shown me how to balance out life. Period. Luissana.
I just want to say gracias to everyone for inviting me to be here. It's a really emotional thing for me. Ever since the first invitation to be a part of this, I started praying about it, and I was like sleeping and dreaming about all the memories that I've had over the years as I started this work in the movimiento, which came later in my life as a young adult. And for me, I'm coming from San Antonio, Texas, which is the homelands of the Estocna Nation, the Carrizo Come Crudo, and which they call these lands Somisec, and also the land of the different Coahuiltecan nations that Payaya, Tapilam. There's so many Coahuiltecan people that these lands belong to, and so just thinking about all the other indigenous relatives that call Texas their homeland, the Apaches, the Caracoas, and later, through the different migrations, Cherokee and Kickapoo, and always since the beginning of time, indigenous nations from the South. And so I see myself as part of those communities migrating to and from these lands. And, I'm here representing my ancestors, and I'm the daughter of Sergia Arce, the granddaughter of Gavina Arce, and great-granddaughter of Aurelia Cruz, which were women that, from my mother's side, suffered a lot. And so for me to be part of this work, it's just like a reclamation of the power that they lost along the way, and also like a testament to the strength that we have as women to carry forward for our families, but also for our communities. And even through my dad's side, there's some strong women, but there's a lot of false machismo and false pride there, and so I've had to, in my journey, define what healing looks like, or redefine it for my family, because there's just a lot of toxic things there that, as an educator and facilitator for youth in our círculos at my workplace, but also as it was mentioned, that everyone here, does this work even beyond their work, that's something that we are always trying to talk about, to break those cycles of harm that sometimes we recreate for whatever reason. That stuff was passed down to us, and that we have inside of us sometimes. So I just want to share that much for right now.
Luissana, what do you think of when you hear the word círculo?
Oh my gosh, I think of Ilagesh, I think of reflections, community building, solidarity. I think of, a common ground, affirmations, seeing beyond the physical sometimes, seeing connections that, that are coincidences, but not that much, not coincidences, alignments, and celestial connections, for us, that círculo is what carries life forward, and yeah, especially our communities, the way we organize, dance, and gather naturally across all races,
Beautiful. Thank you all for just, even in those short introductions of self, sharing so much beauty, so much wisdom, so much strength. And we know that's hard won. That kind of the character, the wisdom, the strength that comes through challenge, through being able to face barriers head on and to move through them or to find ways to navigate them. So we wanted to bring the conversation. We want to dive right into that, this question of what are some of the barriers and challenges that you faced on your own journey as an organizer, as a mujer, as someone who's of service to their community, as a mother, and to share a little bit about what those challenges are and how you face them. And then we'll go a little bit further in the next round around the healing practices and that you engage. But just initially, what are some barriers or challenges you faced on this journey that you'd like to share that you've really learned from? Maybe we can start with Luissana and just pick up where you left off and go in the reverse direction. So yo pass the palabra to the person who came before you.
For me, some of the challenges that I faced in the movimiento were, trying to find healing in my own family and trying to find my sacred purpose in my ways, in the struggle that my family was going through and all of the things that our families face, which was, poverty. I was a student at the university, so I already had all this kind of doubt whether I was smart enough, am I going to have enough money to pay through it, so it's because of that, but I don't regret, having taken out those loans for that experience, because it just opened my whole worldview, and until this day, I have friends that are still my friends that I met. So it was the struggle of trying to find meaning to my life, because really naively, the only reason I was in college was because I wanted to do better for my family. I didn't want to grow up in poverty the way that my family had grown up in poverty. I didn't want to depend on a man, the way that my mom and all my tias were always telling me, because I had seen how that attachment and dependency, closed doors for them and it made it harder for them. But, going through that, while my mom was incarcerated and facing deportation and having to raise my siblings through that and being system impacted and wanting to feel some kind of peace and just tranquility. But even throughout all of that, I mean, there was just so many people that I owe so much life energy that they gave me that to keep going, to believe in myself. But so I made it, and I learned more outside of the university than in the university, and so I made a commitment to myself and at that time I didn't have no children, that I would use my privilege of that degree, my privilege of knowing English, to be able to go into spaces and challenge injustice wherever I saw it, and to keep giving back the way that I had received as a young person. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the struggle and the beauty there.
Gracias. Just taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And acknowledging all that, like you said, that life force energy that has kept us going. We'll bring same question to Rahsmia.
I think like so many of us, if I had to pinpoint, I think some of my biggest obstacles and biggest challenges started in childhood. I grew up in a household that exhibited a lot of domestic violence. My father was a typical, machista, very male dominant, and even though my mother, tried to exhibit strength, and she did in a spiritual way, he did everything he can to like crush her, and to exert, his manliness, and learning that lesson, and kind of being, just constantly being told that as a woman in that house, we didn't have the same say, the same space, as him and my brothers, was extremely traumatizing, and something that I took into, my life as an adult, and as I got into the work, and as I became a mother. And as I went through life, I found it really, really difficult, because of those initial experiences, to find my voice, to have faith in my voice, to have faith in the power and the importance of what I had to say, and my perspective, and the strength that I carried. And I struggled a lot with that. And now I'm thinking back, I've been doing this work for almost 25 years, and I have those moments when I'm like, oh, what if I would have spoken up then? And what if I would have done that? And what if, and it was really the fear that I had been taught to have, that didn't let me do that at that point. But, as I mentioned before, I've had the great fortune of meeting some amazing people along the way that helped me find that voice, that helped me, find the strength to recognize, that childhood, I wouldn't change it for the world, to be perfectly honest, because it has taught me lessons, and it has given me perspective that is super powerful in the work that I'm doing now, and in my role as a mother. I didn't mention it before. I have a 22-year-old son who, I want to think that he's an amazing young man, and I have taught him to respect and appreciate the role of the women in his life. And it all happens the way it's supposed to happen. But so those challenges, I don't necessarily see them as anything that I should necessarily regret, but just appreciate the journey, and appreciate that I've been given opportunity to transition, and recognize strength in who I am, and being able to carry along the powerful messaging that women along the way have taught me.
Thank you both for that palabra. So I would just say, like, as a woman of color, there are constant challenges and barriers. And then add being a mother and having to parent while doing the work exacerbates those challenges. And so I would say, like, navigating colonized ways, white supremacy, patriarchy, and even like male chauvinistic violence. I remember dragging my kids, Rosa, you talked about going with your mom or your parents to different things. And ever since I can remember, I had a kid on my hip, and then 2, then 3, then 4, like in every space that I navigated, whether it was bringing them to work with me, bringing them to meetings, bringing them to, I remember when I was in undergrad, all the Chicano studies students got together, and we went into the projects and had Chicano studies classes for the kids who lived in the projects. My kids were there through graduate school, all of those things. And it was a challenge, because I had to deal with people who didn't understand how important it was for them to be there with me. And so fighting those things, even fighting, people in community work who were supposed to be doing things for the community, and yet they're pushing back when they see moms coming with their children, or having to miss work, or whatever it is. So I think, like, a lot of those things are really important for us to name. And they're, to me, all rooted in the idea of white supremacy and colonized ways, because that's not how our authentic ways of being are. We're community focused, right? And so we get the kids and comadre, I'll hold your daughter down while you go do what you have to do, and I'll feed her in this room, or whatever it is. And so I want to just acknowledge that my kids also tell me how important those things were to them, how much they learned, how like they gained so much palabra from seeing how important it is that we take care of our people. And even being in the classroom, my daughter's application to her college, she put, when she went to grad school and had to sit in the back of the classroom and just sit there as a 12-year-old, that inspired her to go to law school. So there's so many blessings in what we think are challenges, because I remember feeling so bad and driving home crying because we're getting home at 9:30. I'm taking night classes and she has to go to bed and she hasn't eaten and we're stopping to get fast food. It was really hard. But to read and hear her say that was her inspiration was so powerful for me. And so even though we have those challenges, like my maestras tell me, there's lessons always in those challenges. And so what I would also like to say is, like, for me, my healing as a woman and connecting back to my ancestor warrior mamas and aunties has been key for me. My decolonizing and my re-indigenizing, connecting back to my ways, my ancestral medicine, all of that has positioned me to stand in my power, to become liberated, and to find strength to carry on through those challenges. And so when we talk about chingonas, like, it's in our DNA, I believe. It runs through my blood and the blood of each and every one of us. And that's why we're able to stand, with our fists up and say, we're here and we're going to continue to fight for our people. We're going to continue to fight for our children and all of our hood children. So even through the challenges, I think if we're staying close to that fire, if we're continuing to call on our ancestors, as Maestra Susie did earlier, that's what's going to carry us. So I'll just share that much. Thank you. And then I'll pass the palabra to Alma.
Just wanted to share really quick that just received a text from my mom. I don't know how this happened, but she just she loves me, and my mom is not a person that expresses her love with words. Just very firm, and it's been a tough journey with my healing and through the movement, especially with my mother. So just for her to say it, it's so powerful for me because it fulfills me in so many ways. And that's how it started, the whole challenges, because my disconnection with my family for going for higher education. It was very resentful at one point because I didn't understand why she didn't want me to go to higher education. We're taught that, higher education is your path to success. And my mom, she has 9 kids, and we lost my dad when I was 14. So she became, the queen, the father, everything for us. And all she could have done, it was work to bring food and shelter over our heads to all of us. And through that journey, my brother ended in prison for 9 years. He was involved in gangs for a while. When we lost my dad, that was his way of finding healing through the streets, because he didn't have a role model, because his role model died. And then my way of healing was sticking to school, because I wanted my mom to be proud of me, because I didn't want to work in the fields like they did, and I wanted to make her proud. But man, the education system, it's another prison itself. Especially for women of color, English learner. I was an English learner for a long time. And because I didn't want to lose that connection with my language. It was not that I didn't know how to speak English, but it was my way of staying connected to my community, my mom. So I refused to take English classes. I majored in Spanish. So people didn't know that it was my only way of keeping in school by sticking to my language. That was my way of. So when I decided to go for a master's, I was working and didn't know clearly what I wanted and why I kept going to education. It was costing me a lot of disconnection with my family. But a few years ago, I found out that this was my passion. Like I really wanted to address all that trauma and disconnection that happened to my family because of the school to prison pipeline. And I ended up, finding this beautiful journey in the community, working with at Promise Youth and girls, specifically around the school to prison pipeline. And just through that journey myself, I was able to reflect on my own trauma and see that I needed a lot of healing with my family. But it took so many years to even have a conversation with my mom. I think in this year, it was the first time that I was able to express why I felt invisible in my own family. And I remember her saying that she always felt that she didn't have to worry about me, that there was other child that needed her, that she was very proud of me, and that she just couldn't tell me because she was embarrassed because of everything she had to do, and allow me myself to keep going through that journey. So we created a lot of there was a lot of tears, but now it's like every time we see each other, we tell each other that we love each other and how proud we are from each other. But it's tough, like for me, becoming a mother in a culture where they expected to have kids at a young age. Like all my brothers and sisters had their kids at a young age, and I was the only one that decided not to have kids until I was 33. And that itself, it was a challenge within my own family, because, expecting a woman to have kids at early age, and me just saying, no, I don't want to have kids because of everything we went through when we were children. And then becoming a mom, thinking that I was going to be organizing the same way. I was not going to be involved the same way. I was so into my work that now it's like my passion, organizing parents. The parents that I organize with, they became like that. My mom itself, like I would see my mom and all of them, their story of being dismissed, ignored, that false narrative that parents don't care about their child education or they don't have knowledge. And I was very intentional that I was going to fight that. And I wanted to even not only support the parents in the community, but also, uplift the story of my mother, that she had a lot of wisdom that the traditional education would never, ever give me values and teachings that my mother gave me, because the only way I made it to higher education was because of what my mom taught me with her actions of working hard, not giving up, keep trying, find your way. That's what she taught me, with pure actions without speaking any words. And with this work, having my daughter, at one point I doubted myself if I could have given to the movement the same way that I was giving before her. And to my surprise, I think it's more that I want to give because of her. Like she's my inspiration, she's my everything. So every time I see her and her little spirit and her energy, is like I see myself and I see my mom. I always share that her face is her dad, but her energy and her personality is me. Like she's very firm and demands attention in her own way. And she's not, she's a little bit shy, but not too shy that she could even speak for herself what she wants something. And that's the things that we instill to our children. And I want her to be a fighter for her and for other kids as well, because what we encounter in the system, it's a long path, and maybe I will not see, the transformation that we want to see in our system, but I know she will continue that fight that was left for me from other generations. And I just want her to continue that. So definitely it's been challenged because of being a mother and not giving her the time that I wish I could give her. Sometimes that guilt of a mom, that a lot of work hours in the movement, and feel like I don't spend a lot of time with her. But then like she gets home 30 minutes and it's the best 30 minutes of her life together. And I think she, without speaking, she understands my commitment and sacrifice, because now she's part of the movement. She's part of the meetings, and she understands, and she tells me, "Mom, go work." As her 3-year-old telling me, "Go, Mom, go to your computer." But I think it's just a work in progress, because it's very challenging being a mother and try to give that quality time to your child while you're still fighting outside this big old monster that feel like exhausted, and you need to stop and focus, your energy, the most important thing that you have in front of you. But I hope that when she gets older, she really understands, and she allows me to really share all the teachings that I've been learning through this path from all of you and from other maestras. But yeah, it's challenging, but it's worth it. It's really worth it, because I see the effect of working with parents in the community, in the relationship within their child, how powerful it is when they are part of the movement together. And that I want that with my daughter. I want for us to be part of the movement together. Pass it to Maestra Laura.
Gracias. So many beautiful words, so many beautiful experiences, ¿verdad? So my journey in the movement began some 45 years ago. It's been a long time. Pero as Rosa was saying, I was in those meetings with her parents. And I saw them. And I did bring my kids everywhere we went, ¿verdad? I have 6 children. And that, I guess, was the challenge, is to fit in a family and the movimiento at the same time. And in those days, the marchas were about social justice, ¿verdad? About those police shootings of our gente, Story and King, all those things, that our young youth had to go through, ¿verdad? Being of that lowrider scene myself, growing up in that era, and just seeing all the injustice that happened and all the beatings that were happening at that time was something that we wanted to fight against. I've been with my husband since I was in 10th grade, and so going to school, going to high school, and then going into college later on was challenging, because I couldn't stay in school in college, because there was so much to do, so much work to do, so many protests, so many marchas, so much of this and so much of that, being in Mecha, being, in different spaces, ¿verdad? And I think the best thing that I did, though, in all that time was to raise my children in the movimiento, because they are so, their experience, they tell me, has been good for them, especially my girls. I have 4 girls. My 2 boys, they got married and moved away, but my girls, they all stay by me, ¿verdad? And they are guerreras. They are those true guerreras that have fought alongside, they fight for those missing and murdered women in Mexico and the indigenous women here. So it's our challenges, I guess, is not to be everywhere, everywhere. We want to be everywhere in everything. We want to fight for our youth. We want to fight for our women. We want to fight for those that are incarcerated. We want to fight for everything. And it's just so much that it becomes overwhelming at times, ¿verdad? Where do I go and what do I do, ¿verdad? 30 some years ago, we started a danza azteca, so I'm a danzante also. And so that's where I picked up my spirituality, ¿verdad? Being involved with the Native American movement and being involved with the danzantes, I learned my spirituality there, ¿verdad? And so now my armas are my water and my salmador. And so I take that everywhere I go, because being within prayer and having that prayer in front of me is the most important thing that I can do for our gente, and in sharing, some of the experiences that we had in the movement, kind of inspires the youth también, inspires them and empowers them want to do something, ¿verdad? I talk about Cesar Chavez, and I talk about, the different things, Che Guevara, all these people, ¿verdad? That especially here in the Central Valley, no one even knows about, especially our youth, ¿verdad? We're stuck in a big bubble here, ¿verdad? And so I'm just trying to enlighten our youth, give them a sense of their culture and their heritage to be proud of, to build up their self-esteem. Those are some of the challenges that we face on a daily basis, ¿verdad? Is fighting against that white supremacy, as someone else mentioned, is fighting against the schools that try to, push our kids out of the high schools, is fighting against those probation officers that want to keep our kids on probation. And yes, I'm happy that we are starting to close up some of those juvenile halls and sending the kids out, and closing up some of the DVIs, started to close up some of those places that our older youth are incarcerated in. But I'm afraid for them. I'm afraid for where are they going to place them? What are they going to do with them? Those are my fears, ¿verdad? And so I just wanted to express myself a little bit in that way and share with you. I kind of talk fast because I'm nervous, but just so much things that are going through my head that I just can't get them all out. But I just wanted to say thank you again to all of you that are doing all this work from the East Coast to the West Coast, in this big tierra that we call, Aztlán, ¿verdad? That our gente, our youth can be empowered in all ways, in all places. And just so that they don't have to go through what we went through, ¿verdad? All the things we went through. Although some of our experiences were very beautiful, and I wouldn't change them for the world. It's being in those meetings and being in the at DQU, cooking for everybody there. Those were good experiences. For those of you who don't know what DQU is Native Chicano college that was in over by Davis, California, that the Native Americans still today, they are fighting to keep, ¿verdad? And to reopen as a university, accredited university, to teach history, our history, ¿verdad? So I'm just really grateful to be here, and gracias, Ometeo.
Gracias, Maestra. And I want to thank all of you for doing the work that you do, and the personal work, the healing work that you've done in community, so that you can not only face the challenges that you talked about, but share them here in this platform. And I'm imagining everybody that's listening, seeing themselves reflected in a lot of what you're sharing. And then that in turn allows us to cultivate the strength to also face our own challenges and be able to share them, and that healing ripples out.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us for this part 1 of Mothers in the Movement, but also encourage you because part 2 is coming up next week. So please don't miss out on that part 2. As this one was a great blessing, so will part 2 be also. And these podcasts, there's always people in the background that make these things possible. So I just want to thank Cristian and Laura, Maestra Susie, all those involved, and Emilio for helping us get this podcast on the airwaves. Again, thank you and bendiciones.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.